there's so many lies that you tell yourself, like, "Oh, nobody's gonna keep it 100 like I'm gonna keep it 100.
Right.
Nobody's gonna take care of me or this more than I'm gonna do it."
Right, right, right.
It's things that you feed to yourself in your own psyche that then becomes your reality. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Hey, welcome to Uncommon, a state of mind where we debate different ways to leverage your next investment to create time freedom, legacy impact, and generational wealth so you can live that uncommon life. But in order to do that, we must be uncommon. My name is Joey, aka Mr. J Mays.
Hey, and I'm AD, also known as AD the Fly Realtor.
Dope, dope, dope. So we're not debating today. We do have a topic that we do want to talk about, and I'll let AD kind of lead us into that.
Yeah, I don't know if any of you have ever, well, you know what, we're all beginning investors here, so I'm sure a lot of you have either tried to start that business or maybe buy that property or find that investment that you want to get into. And for some reason, you feel like you need to do it by yourself, or maybe you don't think there's anyone you can trust or anybody who would do it up to your standard, or maybe you think there's nobody who could do it as good as you or better than you. And, there's a lot of us out there who I myself I've suffered from that before, where I don't think I can rely on anybody else outside of my own skill and intellect. Some of us, maybe we might be a lone wolf, but others, which I think a lot of us who suffer from this that might be the orphan mindset. So Joey's going to go ahead and let us know what that orphan mindset is.
Yeah, and to be honest with you, like, I know that I've always prided myself on being a lone wolf. You know what I'm saying? I always felt like, if anybody's got my back, it's me. And, I'm gonna grind, I'm gonna do this, and I'll take on the world. But as I start to peel back the layers of that, I realize that, man, maybe I'm suffering from what's called the orphan mindset. And what's that? And it usually stems from childhood, from any type of trauma that, leaves you either psychologically, physically, or mentally abandoned, right? So as a child, when you've been abandoned in such a way, you then develop the mindset that it's really all on you, and you grow up and you really don't get to, peel the layers back and talk about and kind of process through the pains and tribulations that got you there. You just know how to move forward, So then you're like, nah, I got it.
Right.
I'll take care of this all on my own. So some signs that you may be suffering from the orphan mindset is, you really like to isolate, and you isolate away from people all the time. Maybe you're not very good at receiving help, even though there's people around you that want to help you, but you just feel like you need to do this and get it on your own. The other things that kind of are signs of the orphan mindset is maybe it's really hard for you to maintain meaningful relationships with people because you just don't feel like anybody is going to, treat you better than you, or some sort of some sort of mantra you tell yourself in order to fend away people that care about you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, most definitely. And it's interesting the list of characteristics you stated off, because I myself, I do actually enjoy my alone time. At this point in my life with, my wife and my son, I get a lot less of that, but I've always enjoyed my alone time. But even I, to a degree, knew that at some point I do have to, go mingle, and go talk to people, because I really don't think humans were just meant to be by themselves, like not for just a long period of time, like definitely part of your day or a portion of your life, you're supposed to be alone, but I don't think it's just supposed to be this ongoing thing where you're alone personally, you're alone professionally, you're alone socially. I don't think like you're just always supposed to be alone. I really feel like we are supposed to find those people who help us round out ourselves.
And the thing is, like, there's so many things, there's so many lies that you tell yourself, like, all right, nobody's gonna keep it 100 like I'm gonna keep it 100.
Right.
Nobody's gonna take care of me or this more than I'm gonna do it.
Right.
It's these things that you feed to yourself in your own psyche that then becomes your reality. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
When in the real world, there are people that are going to help you along the way, and they're going to help you reach your goals. To be honest, and I bring this back to weightlifting and things of that nature. I'm a personal trainer. I bring this back to this all the time. If I want to get strong, and I'm going to the gym and I'm hitting my bench press, right? And I'm trying to test myself, I can't load up my weight and really knock out that bench because I'm by myself. If this bar comes down on my chest, it's me.
Right.
You know what I mean? But if I have my spotter there, my partner there, the second that I'm going and I'm knocking out my bench press and I start that failed rep, you know, my partner's there to help me up and lift it up. So you get so much stronger in that time. But that's just, you know, it's a very tangible and realistic metaphor of how this, you know, life is, you know, how your entrepreneurial journey is, you know what I'm saying?
Oh, for real.
Somebody there, iron sharpens iron, you know what I mean? To help you along the way, to motivate you along the way, and to be that other side that can, you know, you can bounce ideas off of.
Yeah, and you know what? One thing that's so powerful about that metaphor with the weight, with the bench reps, is that you do what you can on your own, but then it gets to a certain point where you can't do any more on your own, so you need that help or you need that partner. You know what I mean? So it's like it goes to show you that you can actually take on more with a partner.
Yeah.
You know, so it's you can only do so much on your own in every situation, every circumstance, all the time. You know, a lot of times we're going to need that, you know, that other person who can do certain things that we can't.
Right.
Yeah. So collabing, for some reason, we view it as taboo, whereas realistically, it's probably what we should be doing more of.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And how do we really expect to, you know, stretch across a wide field of anything just by ourselves?
That part.
You know, it's totally unrealistic.
That part. So a couple of things in order to really beat the orphan mindset. Well, the first thing that you have to do is recognize it. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You can't recognize, you know, what you're going through psychologically. You're never going to know that you're battling something. Kind of like when AD and I had that conversation about lifestyle creep. Like, you don't know that there's a term for it. You don't know that you're battling it until somebody makes you aware. So this may be an opportunity in this episode for you to then be aware, like, oh snaps, maybe I'm not just this lone wolf who can't get along with anybody because nobody's as real as me. Maybe I'm suffering from the orphan mindset. And from that point, you can then do things to break it. Like, hey, you're going to need a support system. You're going to need to find people who you want to collaborate with, whether it's just having conversation and being in social situations more often, or as us in business, you know what I'm saying, finding somebody who is like-minded and you feel comfortable bouncing ideas off of. That way you can step into your true and full self, you know, right, self-actualization. You know what I'm saying? Because you really can't do that on your own. You do need to bounce it off of somebody else or other experiences. So
yeah, no, most definitely. And you know, it's funny because very few great things in this world were done by just one person. You know, a lot of these great businesses and great companies or organizations, it took more than one dude to build it. You know, like we look at PayPal and a lot of people don't know the origins of PayPal, whereas Elon Musk was actually one of the original founders of PayPal, but he wasn't even, it was, I believe, 3 or 4 different companies that all came together. And Elon wasn't even the one who had the name PayPal, but they came together, made this great company and sold it. And from that money, that's how he went on to build Tesla and SpaceX and so on and so forth. Wow. So I say that to say that even one of the greatest entrepreneurs of our time, you know, definitely of our time, he couldn't get to where he was on his own by himself. So why do we so often think that we have to be on our own to do some great thing? You know, like usually if you're doing it on your own, or if your dream allows you to be able to do it on your own, it's probably not even big enough of a dream. You know what I mean?
I agree. It's huge. And I'm going to speak for what I'm going to say is I see this a lot in our community, being the Black community.
Right.
Don't get me wrong. This happens in every community. This happens to every person individually. You know what I'm saying? Like, not every person individually, but in every culture. You know what I'm saying? But being that I'm in the Black community, I see it heavily in our community where people feel like they need to get it on their own. Like, they don't feel like they made it unless they got it on their own.
Exactly.
Where that's just it's a very unhealthy place. It's going to be to your detriment because nobody's, as AD alluded to, nobody's gotten far and reached massive success by themselves.
Yeah. You know, part of it's by design why so many in our community feel the need to try and take on great tasks on our own. You know, it's by design because there was a certain time in American history where people didn't believe, well, not they didn't believe, they didn't want us to team up together to come to realize our full power and our full strength being united. You know, so it's kind of been this thing where time has gone on, like, and one thing that was a hindrance to us, now it's no longer there, but we allow it to still be a hindrance where we don't fully understand that if we work with each other, we can definitely do more and go a lot further as units as opposed to individuals.
Big time, big time, big time. So yeah, I'm glad that we decided to kind of touch on this topic, man. Like it's huge to be able to recognize something, you know, and then after recognizing it and then placing a label on it, you can then realize when you're like, okay, wait, am I trying to be alone? Am I trying to isolate right now? Am I suffering from the orphan mindset in this particular scenario? You can then add some safeguards. You're like, okay, you can purposely, and this is where you start to see the benefits of you walking into your true self. You can take steps and purposely do things to break yourself out of the mindset, out of that orphan mindset, you know, which collaborating, you know what I'm saying, is going to be the biggest one. Being social, you know, maybe anything that you can find out, anything that you can do in order to, you know, um, be with other people and understand that you need people to reach that level of success that you're aiming for.
Yeah, you know, I like how you said, you know, put safeguards in place, you know, and things in place to prevent you from leaning back into that characteristic. Because, you know, the quote that once the mind has learned a new thing, it can never go back to how it was before. And it's so powerful. So, like Joey said, like if this is the first time you've heard or even thought of the orphan mindset, now that you are aware of it, it's up to you to check in and see if that's something you may possess, that characteristic, and also how you need to change that about yourself, whether it's do some research, you know, talk to somebody or get some therapy on why is it that you feel you need to go at things alone, you know, like take that time to learn and see how you can become your better and higher self.
Boom, 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 boom. And with that, AD is going to go ahead and bring us our B for the day.
Yeah, and the B for today is be in tune. Look within yourself, check in with yourself, you know, see if there's something you need to change. You know, shed yourself of as many negative characteristics as possible. Try and become that higher self, reach into your higher consciousness. So be in tune.
Boom. Be in tune, be you, and be uncommon.
All right.
All right. There, guys.